Today we're going to do a little bit of work with, hold on, I'm still fixing things. There we go. Today we're going to do a little bit of work with the lymph. Um, I think if you, I know all of you are doing yoga on the regular and maybe other adventurous things in your body too. Um, but I think if you spend any time, in stagnation of some kind in your body, like having to sit in front of a computer for a long period of time for work, or driving a long distance, or getting on an airplane, or whatever the things that you're doing that require you to be still. I think it's really important to have subtle little ways that we can move lymph in our body even when we can't necessarily have the full physical movement that is so good for us. And especially if you're dealing with allergies in any way, I think having lymph movement in your body can be a very helpful aspect of keeping your immune system in tip top shape. So some of this will be very familiar to you. We've done lymph classes before, and to me, they always feel kind of good because when we get our fluids moving in our body, when we get our juices moving, it really impacts, I think, it really impacts our sense of well-being. Where you're the stagnation can not just be in your physical body, but in your mind too, where you can get fixated on a certain train of thought or have be in a rut of some kind. And if that happens to you emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, sometimes the type of movement that moves your lymph can be very helpful to just get that rut moving in whatever way you need some help with. All right. So let's sit up straight and tall and take a moment to drop your awareness into your body. Okay. So as we come into ourselves, one of the very first things we can do is notice our breathing. So how's your breath been so far since you woke up this morning? Is this the first time you're paying attention to your breath? Have you been short of breath? Have you been, feeling like the breath is a little too still? So this is our opportunity to just pay attention and notice how we are. As your eyes soften behind your lids, let the ease of all the tension patterns in our face, the ways we express through our face, see if you can soften and let go and relax. Feel yourself just begin to elongate the breath just a smidge. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. Let's see what it feels like to make sure that your diaphragm is moving fully as you breathe. A lot of times we can stay right up here in the upper chest without a lot of diaphragmatic movement. So pay attention to your diaphragm now and sense its mobility. Sense where the diaphragm attaches around your lower rib cage, the whole dome of your lower ribs. And see if you can create a little bit of movement there where you're feeling that the movement of your diaphragmatic muscle or your diaphragm, but also the other muscles that are involved, can really shift and make your rib cage have some mobility. Make sure you're both full in the inhale and full in the exhale without strain. So, try to drop it down one notch if you feel like you're topping off the tank really intensely. See if you can just come into the natural fullness of breath, waking up all those muscles that move. And as you feel this, see if you can also sense that every movement of the diaphragm when it contracts and releases, that you have a little gentle tug on the heart, that the pericardial sac has a direct fascial connection to the diaphragm. So every time the diaphragm has a beautiful full movement, your heart gets a little bit of a massage. And this can be the beginning of our sense of moving fluids. That's not really a focus on the lymph yet, but Just a sense that our breath helps us access the movement of our fluids in our body, our cardiovascular system, and our lymphatic system. To wake up the diaphragm just a little bit more, because remember, there's a lot of lymph right in our belly, too. So, this will impact the lymph. We're going to do a three-part hold. Okay, so we're going to do this first on the inhale, and then we'll take a moment, and then we're going to do it on the exhale. So, on the inhale, see if you can have that Viloma breath where we have a slight sip of the breath, a little bit of a hold, a bigger sip of the breath, a bit of a hold, and the last final sip of the breath, a bit of a hold, and then an exhale. Now, this can be challenging if you tend to be a breath grabber, a breath holder, a breath hoarder. See what it feels like to sense that you're filling the um, bowl of your lungs from the bottom to the top. Instead of taking your first breath on the top of your lungs, feel it on the bottom. And then the next breath, we fill in the middle. And the last hold is like filling the top third. So you can think of your lungs in layers of thirds, just a tiny little pause. And then when your exhale comes, you just let it come. If you feel the need to quick grab a breath, then you're doing too much. Okay, so see what it feels like to have that slight little sensation of breath hunger. Be friendly with the breath hunger. Allow your body to relax. Notice any tension across the tops of your shoulders, the base of your skull, your jaw. See if you can find ease in the way you're holding yourself. Whatever part of that cycle of breath that you're in. Hopefully, you've done 4 or 5 rounds of this by now. And when you are ready, let's go ahead and um, let your breath settle for a moment before we switch. So try to do at least 4 rounds of this kind of breath. Maybe you've done more, maybe you've done less. When you settle into a normal breathing pattern for a moment before we switch into the exhale holds, just notice a sense of rhythm or fluidity that the wholeness of the breath can have. Like pouring in a stream of water into a cup without any pause, emptying it out without any pause. And when you're ready, we will switch this. So we take a full inhale without topping off the tank. So find that you're filling from the bottom to the middle to the top with this beautiful diaphragmatic movement, nothing straining or overdoing. And then the exhale leads from the top to the middle and then the bottom. So kind of segment into thirds again, letting a little air out, a gentle hold, letting a little bit more air out, a gentle hold, and then completing the exhale with a gentle hold after the exhale is complete, and then allowing your breath to enter in. So, again, try not to get to a point of such breath hunger where you're gulping, straining for breath. We want to start to get comfortable with breath hunger without it making us feel like we have to run for the hills. Are you relaxed? Notice that little bit of a bind of the diaphragm on those holds. See if you can kind of create that seal, if you will, or a little bit of tension across the diaphragm, and then a release. And then a tension across the diaphragm, and then a release. Try not to hold the holds for very long. It's just a pause. Everything else is relaxed. Your shoulders, your neck, your face, your eyes, your jaw, your tongue. After you've done 4 or 5 rounds of this, there's no rush. Everybody's pace of breathing is different. So you don't have to do this all day, but just having a few moments of all sorts of pranayama will help you. When you're ready to return to some normal breathing, just feel the fullness, that fluidity and flow of the breath. And place your palms together. Let's feel into the body now. Drop into your sit bones. Bow your head just a bit. Feel your way into this sense of creating an intention. So, what do you need today in your practice? How can you cultivate a sense of presence that will support you? Is there anything specific that you're intending? Place your hands. Try to have a bit of your attention, and a lot of your attention maybe in your practice today, go toward paying attention to the rhythm of your breathing. So we're not holding our breath, we're not having any restriction and kind of stagnation of the breath, which can be very common. Let's lie down, stretch your arms overhead and feel the beautiful movement of your body. So the right side, the left side, we're just opening up, and something as simple as this starts that engine of fluid movement in your body. Fill your breath up, empty your breath out. And then draw your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. Kind of scan your body a little bit. How's your back today? How are your hips today? How are your neck and shoulders today? How's everything today? Let's circle the knees, kind of rolling one direction and rolling another direction 2 or 3 times each way. And then when you feel ready, you can open your knees up and bring them back in. So semicircles or circles. Some of the best things that we can do to move our lymph is to open and close joint spaces. And there's lymph nodes in lots of the pits of your body, lots of the joint spaces of your body. So behind your knees, in your groins, in your abdomen, in your armpits, in your neck. Those are some kind of areas of heavier lymph node spots. So we want to really pay attention to those places as we move today. The other place to pay attention to is our hands and our feet. Our feet hold a lot of lymph. It's the place, remember, so let's take your right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground, and move around in your ankles and feet. Remember that your feet are the lowest part usually with gravity in our body. So we're beautifully made. We have lots of lymph vessels, not lymph nodes, but lymph vessels in our feet that help us soak up all that extra fluid that may pool in our interstitial space at the base of gravity when we're standing. That's our feet, to help us move that extra fluid back toward the cardiovascular system. So let's be thankful. Left knee into your chest, right leg long, for all the beautiful lymph that travels down our legs, lymph vessels. And remember, lymph only goes in one direction. It soaks up fluid from the interstitial spaces in between our cells and draws it back into the lymph vessels
and carries it up to our collarbones. There's two ducts, one on either side, right under our collarbones, that drain the lymph fluid back into the cardiovascular system. So everything's a one-way street, from our feet up to our collarbones, from our hands up to our collarbones, from our head down to our collarbones. Everything is moving in that direction. And stretch out big and wide now in a big giant star. Let's roll the wrists and open and close the fists. Move your ankles around. The only thing that moves this lymph, that helps it along, is our movement. We don't have a heart to pump it. Okay, and draw your knees into your chest. Bring your head in. And we're going to do this 3 times. A big open body space, open joints, and then exhale, knees into your chest, head comes up, rounded. Twice more. Find your breath. Big open body. Exhale, drawing it in. One more time. One of the simplest things we can do for our lymph is just that. Put your feet on the ground, hands out to the sides like a T. Let's start to windshield wiper your knees. Breathing deeply, just giving a little bit of movement through our hips, through our spine. All right, and then create a little bit of more oomph in our movement. We're going to do this a little bit more rapidly. So right knee in, left leg long, and then switch. And focus not just on the compression at our groin and behind our knee, which will help squeeze and release that lymph, but also in the extension. The extension is just as important as the flexion in getting that massage for our lymph around our lymph nodes. Okay. Breathing deeply. Feeling that warming starting to happen in your body. Squeeze the back of the knee and the groin, and then open the back of the knee and the groin. Okay. One more time, stretch your limbs all the way out. And then exhale, draw in, knees to your chest. Come rolling over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. As we find our ground, remember to sense into the ground to find that feeling of yielding. And then let's start to move through some cat-cows. We're arching the back and we're rounding the spine. Something as simple as this spinal movement can really help with a lot of the lymph in our torso. We have this kind of compression of our diaphragm and the release of our diaphragm. There's a lot of movement of our internal organs, which help massage the lymph in our belly. And it's the simple movement of your pelvis moving into an anterior tilt and a posterior tilt can do wonders for helping lymph move through those groin pits. Okay, all right. Now let's find any kind of wiggles and sways. Just let your back loosen up. So much fascial binding that we can let go of in this position. All right, and then let's go ahead and find all fours. We're going to move our rib cage around. So over to the side with your ribs, down to the floor, over to the side, and up toward the sky. Just find a big circle in your rib cage and come back into that fullness of your diaphragm moving. Use your breath in this posture. Go the other direction. Spin your ribs the other way. So not only is this loosening our spine and our breath and all the muscles for our breath, but we're getting a lot of movement of fluid in the torso. Try to visualize all the big vessels, your aorta, your vena cavas, and also visualize all the lymph that's moving in your torso. All right, stretch back towards child's pose. Walk the hands far out in front of you, feeling a good stretch through your shoulders, opening up the armpits a lot, finding your breath. Walk the hands over to one side or the other, feeling that opening of your ribs here. You can even come up out of child's pose and onto all fours in this weird angle and then back so you can feel the stretch across your armpit, across your side ribs. Maybe a couple of times of moving up and moving back. And then switch over to the other side, feeling that length of your side body. Breathe into this. Full inhale, full exhale. And if you want to, come up toward weighted into your hands and then back again. Feeling a little bit of movement across your ribs and your armpit as you come forward toward fours and back toward hips. And then come back to neutral. Come back up onto all fours, wiggle around, move your body. Inhale, left arm lifting up toward the sky. Find your breath, open up your chest, pause here for a moment, just keep opening up through the heart. On your next exhale, draw that shoulder underneath for a twist. Breathing deeply, feel the back body open. Now let's take this pose halfway out. So we're going to compress through the collarbones a little bit, or at least just through that left collarbone. So we're going to space the floor. The arm is still underneath you. Where your collarbone meets your shoulder, that AC joint, see if you can find a little compression in there. Feeling into the open collarbones, spread them wide. Hips are back toward your heels. And then release that and lift the arm all the way up in the air again. Hand down onto the ground, second side. As you lift it up, pause here for a moment, take a breath. Enjoy the open chest. And when you're ready, slide that arm underneath. Gaze toward the floor, let your neck be neutral and soft. Open up the back ribs. Let the diaphragm touch those attachments. Feel the attachments of your diaphragm in the back, bottom rib cage. And then when you're ready, slide out of the pose a little bit, hips toward heels, child's pose with your hips, collarbones wide. See if you can spread open the AC joint and then feel it compress. Have a full breath here. Notice that this place right at our collarbones is where our lymph rejoins the cardiovascular system. It's a special place where your lymphatic ducts are. Inhale, reach that arm all the way back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Let's come on up to a dog pose. Once you find your ground, let's move a bit. So again, getting some movement in your feet. Right, so drop one heel down toward the ground as you bend the other knee. And then switch and feel not only the big stretch across your foot and your Achilles, but open up the back of your knee as well. Feeling a little bit of movement as you just pedal. Okay, so walking is one of the best things we can do to move our lymph because we just have this constant pedaling of the calf muscles engaging with those lymph vessels and helping massage the lymph vessels and move that fluid. All right, feel the stillness of your pose. Ground the hands and feet into the earth. Feel the rebound and reach upward into your body. Let your neck soften. Then walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana, a deep fold. Relax your head. Maybe you want to wag your tail or shake your shoulders. A halfway lift. Long spine. Exhale, then melt again. One more time. A halfway lift. Thigh bones move back. Exhale and release. Bend your knees. Come on up. Come up to stand and lift your arms all the way up in the air, feeling that reach and length. Okay, let's cactus, open the arms here, squeeze the back body a little bit, get your shoulder blades to squeeze toward each other, and then exhale and round in, forearms to touch. Feel your collarbones compress. Again, repeat, open up, collarbones widening, compress the back body, and then exhale, open the back body, compress the front. One more time, open your chest.
Exhale, close. Reach the arms up in the air, and then let's swing the arms down. Give your hands a good shake. Okay. And we're gonna just start shaking everywhere. So wiggle your body, shake any which way. Shaking and bouncing and jumping are great ways of moving lymph in your body, getting fluids to move. So just jostle yourself around. There's no rules of how this has to look. Just let your body do its thing. How's your breath? Deep, full breaths. Maybe a little bit of sounding on your exhale. Don't forget to shake your head. If you want to do a little jumping, you can do a little jumping. And then come into stillness. Breathe for a moment. A couple of more big movements we're going to do. So arms coming up. Exhale, bend your knees. Arms back. One more time. Once more. Bring the arms up, bring the arms straight out to the side. Spread your hands really wide. Okay, find your breath, press the walls next to you. Drop your shoulders open across your collarbones. And then slowly let your hands come down. Interlace your hands behind your back. Grab onto your left wrist with your right hand. And let's lift the left ear up toward the sky. Just feeling a little gentle stretch across the tops of your shoulders. Big breaths. And then let's change sides. Have a little tug on that left wrist. Lift up through your onto your right wrist with that little bit of tug on your left hand. Lift the right ear up. And then come back to center. Tuck your chin toward your chest. Take a deep breath. The arms coming up. A little bit of a back bend here. And the arms down. And we're just going to do some big arm circles. Opening up the armpits and closing them. Maybe your knees want to bend while you're here. Maybe this is uncomfortable and you need to do this one arm at a time, like a backstroke. That might feel better. All right. Now, just have your arms get a good swing. All right, we're going to start doing some twisting. So our arms are straight out to the sides as we do this. Breathing well. You can have two arms moving. You can put one hand to the chest and the other arm is moving. Just feeling that sense of space across your chest, your collarbones, your armpits. Breathing deeply. And maybe take your arms a little lower. Maybe your arms kind of come onto your body and give yourself a little smack. How's your breath? Very important to breathe deeply when we're doing this. All right, arms back up. We're going to take our legs wider and turn this into a bigger movement. So we're squatting and then opening, and squatting and then opening. And if this is too much for you, if you get dizzy, then just back off to a place that feels good. And then come into a deep squat, and we're going to swing like a monkey, side to side, getting deep into our hips, bearing weight into one foot and then the other, and then bring our arms out to the sides. Do what you want. There's no rules. We're just finding fluid of movement. And then steady yourself in the deep, wide squat, elbows inside your knees. Relax your head. You can melt toward the floor. Full breaths here. And then come up and find the standing star. Open everything up. If you're dizzy at all, always find your way back to the midline. Okay. Breathing deep. And then come back to neutral, back into your bounce. Now see if you can let your feel as if your lungs are jiggling. Let your internal organs have a bounce. Try not to guard any more than you need to, so that you feel like not only your knees are bouncing, and your feet are bouncing, but your internal organs have a jiggle to them. All right, now let's get into the skin a little bit. So we've done this lots. We're going to just kind of smack ourselves around a little bit. So you can start with your face and your head. And then come down. Have some smacks across your collarbones. You can take fists there too if you'd like. Okay. I'm going to go down your arms smacking and then go back up. And down and go back up. See if you can end by going up. Do both arms. Whatever you're doing, end by going up. Okay, kind of feel around your shoulders, give them a good smack. Back of your neck, back of your head. And come into your ribs. And you can do this with open fists. You can do this, you can kind of take some open fists and give your kidneys a good whack. Okay. On your side bodies, maybe you can reach your spine, your belly. And then as we go down your legs, same as we did, we're gonna go down and then go up. And go down, but end whatever path you're doing on the way up instead of the way down. Don't forget to get the sole of your foot. Okay, you can stand on one leg and smack your foot. And go to the other leg. Make sure your front, back, sides, bottom of your foot. And then finding your way back up your leg, back up your body. Okay, and then one more time, round your face, right to your collarbones. Okay, now I'm gonna get a little closer so you can see me do this. Stay standing, and we're gonna start with just massaging the face. Okay, just gentle massage. You can take it around your face and down your neck, over your head and down your neck. All the strokes are down toward your collarbones. And then when you're ready, lift your chin and just stroke your finger pads down your neck. You can do this at the same time, both sides. If it's more comfortable, go one side at a time. Okay, and then rub across your collarbones. Okay, so right across the collarbones, maybe right below them, give it a good rub. Both sides, make sure you do both sides. Give it a good rub. And then we're gonna move across our diaphragm. And I usually wiggle my body when I'm doing this too. Breathe. And then we're gonna rub into our inner groins a little bit. You can do one side at a time if you want, or both sides, fairly vigorously. And then we're gonna move back to the bottoms of our knees. And then to the soles of the feet. Nice little rub. And then we're gonna go back up to the backs of the knees, into the groins, into the diaphragm, into the collarbones, into the throat again. All right, so once you finish with that, just notice how you feel. Stand in Tadasana for a moment. So, pretty untraditional yoga, but see if it feels good. If you have a sense that there's fluid moving in your body now, that you've kind of cleared some pathways that might have been stuck, especially in those areas where we have a lot of lymph nodes. All right, so let's come up onto our heels and down onto our toes. Up onto our heels and then back onto up onto our toes and back onto our heels. And again, remembering that the movement of your calf muscles are very powerful for moving both the blood flow in your veins back up toward your heart, as well as the lymph back up toward your collarbones. Finding your breath. All right, so I think we're pretty warmed up now to do a vinyasa. Let's come to the front of your mat. Standing, breathing deeply. So remember, we're staying connected to that diaphragmatic breath. Inhale, reaching the arms all the way up in the air. And then exhale, folding forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Let your breath be your guide. Exhale, folding back down. Let's step your left foot back, right foot is in front, coming to a lunge. Opening up through your heart. And let's go ahead and straighten and bend that front knee. So have some blocks so that you can really open up the back of that front knee and feel that stretch across to the back of the knee, moving some of that lymph fluid, opening up the hip and the front of your back hip, all the while breathing. All right, so ground yourself here, feel your roots. Inhale, come on up, lifting the arms up to the sky. Let's cactus, open the arms, and then press them out to the sides. Do some circles with your arms here, pressing the palms wide toward the walls behind or to the sides of you. Ground into your legs, stabilize with your ribs, your core, your pelvis. And then reaching the arms up one more time, big circle around, reaching them up one more time. And hands come down, back foot comes forward, folding deeply. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt again. Step your other foot back, coming to a lunge on this side. Try to pay attention to the opening of your back hip flexors and the opening of your front leg back knee. Moving with breath, bending your knee, straightening. Have the blocks at whatever height gives you the spaciousness to straighten your front leg while keeping your spine in a good, safe, elongated space. Sometimes it's even nice to lift your toes up when you straighten that front leg and then press your toes back down. So just find those openings and closings. How's your breath? All right, ground yourself. Feel your roots. Come on up, lifting the arms again, up toward the sky, feeling that grounding of your legs, root down. Let's cactus, open the arms, a good squeeze in the back body, and then press your hands to the sides. Small little circles here. So instead of big circles, let's do some small ones. They can go backwards, they can go forwards, just getting some mobility and movement through the vessels and the nerves in your arms. And then inhale, swoop the arms up again. Exhale down. Swoop them up. Exhale down. Hands onto the ground. Dog pose. Okay, so feel your way into the opening of your armpits, the opening of your spine, the compression a little bit at the hip groin area. Opening up the backs of the knees, opening up the soles of the feet and the palms of the hands. Isn't it amazing? We can sense that we're opening up muscles. You know, we feel our muscles well. But sense into the opening of so much more of your tissues than just your muscles, your fascia, all of your fluids. Inhale, come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady here. And now let's move through the ribs. Turn to the left with your belly, back to center. Turn to the right with your belly, back to center. Left again, back to center. Right again, back to center.
Put your knees down, find the ground. Okay, let's do some good shoulder movements here. Bring your shoulders up toward the ears, up toward the sky, and back down. And inhale, cobra pose, opening up the front body. Exhale and melt back down. One more time. Stretching open all those lymph areas in your belly. And then release. Okay. Put your hands underneath your forehead for a moment. Let your whole body be breathed by your breath. So as you breathe, notice all the movement through your spine, through your belly. We're going to do a little bit of a diaphragmatic push-up here so we can get that lymph in our belly to have a lot of mobility. Palms down next to your sides, arms next to your sides, palms facing down. We're going to inhale, lift up your legs, lift up your arms, lift up your chest, keep your neck neutral. Don't go super high in this pose, but focus on your breath. Big, huge inhale, big, full exhale. Let your whole body be rocked by the movement of your diaphragm. So, a little bit of diaphragmatic push-ups here. All right, and then relax. Put your hands underneath your forehead again. Pick up your feet and rock your feet left and right. Breathing deeply. Come on up. Move your spine around. Back towards child's pose. And feel this deep compression in the hips, deep compression in the knees. We'll move through a vinyasa here twice or 3 times. Inhale, up under your shins, arms high. And then exhale, fold your arms down at your sides, close in on yourself. Feel all the pits close. Armpits, knee pits, groin pits. Inhale, open up all those pits. And then exhale, close them. One more time. Opening up. Closing them up. Let your back relax here. Full breath down your spine. And when you feel ready, bring your hands out in front of you for dog pose. Maybe a little pedaling of your feet again. And then walk your feet forward, come to Uttanasana. Wag your tail while you're here. Shimmy, bounce, rock, whatever feels good. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt and fold. Climbing all the way back up. Bring the arms to the sky. And then trace down through the center. Now, we did this pose yesterday. This is one of the best poses for kind of like getting that squeeze of all your lymph, especially in the pits of your body. So if you need, we're going to do eagle pose. If you need to put your backside against a wall or a piece of furniture for balance, that's a great way of supporting yourself. We're going to stand on our right foot. Bring your left leg over top your right thigh. Okay. Right arm over left. All right, so squeeze your armpits, squeeze your thighs together. Feel a sense of compression around your rib cage, and then an opening on the in-breath, spreading the collarbones. Move your ribs, move your collarbones into compression and expansion with the breath. Squeeze the arms, squeeze the legs. And then unwind the posture. Spread your limbs. And then come back to center and give yourself a little shake again. Okay. Shake your arms. You can bounce. You can do anything that's mobile after the squeeze. Okay. And now we'll do the second side. We're going to root into our left foot.
Right thigh over left, hips face front. We're gonna put our left arm. Now, if you have shoulder trouble, you can just cross and bring your hands onto your shoulders instead of the eagle hold. Drop the shoulders, lift the chest, wide collarbones, compressed collarbones. Move with your breath. Squeeze your legs, squeeze your arms. See if you can imagine that you have oranges under your armpits that you're trying to juice. Okay, so squeeze under your armpits. Finding breath. And then open up. Spread your limbs wide and take your legs even wider. Bring your hands down. Bring your all the way to the ground or maybe to your blocks. So whatever height you want to be on, wide, wide legs. Lengthen your spine. Feel the inversion in here. So, maybe you get a little closer to the ground. Maybe you're not, to see where your body is. Head below heart, let it dangle. And so one more time, dropping your hips, coming into a deep squat. Elbows inside your knees. Finding breath. Come all the way back up. Turn your right foot out. Parsvakonasana, elbow on your knee. Stretch open. So feel that one side of your body is having that compression in the hip, but the other is open. And across your armpit too. So feel all that spaciousness in the left side of your body. Okay, coming back up. Turn your feet the other way. Bending your knee. Stretch your arm overhead and feel now that the right side of your body gets to open, open, open. Root into both feet well. Feel that compression in your hip. And then come all the way back up. Turn your foot to the right. We'll just have a little bit of movement here. Stretch open into a reverse triangle pose. Come into Parsvakonasana. Open up through that left side. And then reverse your warrior. Stretch open through your ribs. Standing back with a straight leg. Turn to the other side. Left foot out. Left arm up. Reaching to the sky. Exhale, Parsvakonasana, arm overhead. Find your breath. And when you're ready, reverse your warrior. Feel the openness of your ribs and your armpit. And then straighten your leg and turn your feet back to center again. Hands down onto the ground or on blocks. Find the openness of the back of your legs. And then we're going to heel to our feet or come to dog pose or however you want to get down. Child's pose. Bring your arms down at your sides so that you feel everything kind of draw in. One last time up onto your shins, arms to the sky. And then exhale and relax. We're going to come onto our back. Have a block handy. We're going to do 2 bridge poses, one active, one passive. And this is a really good posture for opening up across the thoracic duct and the lymphatic duct, on the right at the collarbones, so that we're opening up the passageways for all this movement that we've been doing, so that the lymph can drain back into the cardiovascular system. Kind of get everything that's swept up, all the cellular debris, all the trapping of foreign bodies like germs of any kind, bacteria. All of that gets drawn through the lymph and back to the cardiovascular system through these ducts that are collarbones. So let's keep them nice and open so we're constantly moving debris out of our body.
Okay, so this will help with that stagnant feeling. Root into the four corners of your feet. We're going to lift up into a full bridge, rock onto the tops of your shoulders, and get your collarbones to be open. Okay, you can either interlace your hands under your back, but if that deters the collarbones and the armpits from opening, then keep your arms straight and press the backs of the hands into the ground. Open up across your elbows. Open across the armpits. Lift the armpit chest up. Spread your collarbones. Big breaths here. Belly breaths, rib breaths. Root into your feet to support you. Come down and rest on your back for a moment. Windshield wiper your knees, left and right. How's your breathing? Okay, we're going to take one block or two blocks, whatever height you want to be in for a supported bridge pose. Remember that the block needs to go across your sacrum, not in line with your spine. So you can be on the low height, you can be on the middle height, you can stack two blocks on top of each other for the high height. Okay, so whatever feels good to your body. We're opening across our chest. Let your shoulder blades draw down the back, so we're really opening through the heads of the arm bones. Feel that your rib cage has a lot of expansion. Still root your feet a little bit, even though you don't have to weight bear as much. Feeling the grounding of the four corners, the spreading of your feet. Breathe deeply into your diaphragm, let it move. Stay for a breath whenever you're ready to come down. We'll get the blocks out of there, blocks out of there. Find neutral for a moment, maybe a little bit of windshield wipering. Okay. And then we'll find a little bit of a different twist than we normally do. Let's roll onto our right side. Palms are together, knees are bent, hips are at 90 degrees. Inhale, open your book, just spread across your chest. Let your knees move apart from each other. You don't have to hold them together for this variation. And just let that twist find its way into a nice open chest. Breathe across the sweep of your pecs. And then let's close that up. Go ahead and shift back to neutral all the way over onto your left. Palms together, start with your knees together, slide open. Back of the right hand coming onto the ground, turn your head. Feel that sweep across your chest. Breathing deeply. Back to center, neutral, and just decide what is it that you need. Would you like to bring your knees in? Would you like to do a little bit of rocking plow or a plow pose? Would you like to do a reverse pigeon pose? So whatever you're finding you need, maybe a moment of Supta Konasana. Whatever it is that you're finding is helpful to open your body up, to feel that you're free. And as you prepare for Shavasana, if there's any little thing you still need, do your little thing. And then give yourself an opportunity for a good supported Shavasana. So what does that mean? Maybe you need some support under your legs. Maybe you need some support under your head. Maybe you need to get more. Maybe you need to turn the lights out. Maybe you'd rather be on your side or over a bolster in child's pose. So whatever it is that you're finding you want to do, you can even do legs up the wall if you want, or you can put your cows up on a chair to kind of encourage that fluid movement still. So whatever you're choosing, start to let your body find a deep sense of rest and ease. Find a sense of your bones dropping into the ground. The weight of your head is heavy. The weight of your arms is heavy. Feel the weight of your pelvis and your spine. The heaviness of your legs. The fullness of your breath. Imagine all the rivers that are inside you having clear, steady flow. You're ready. Let's breathe well. Roll your ankles and wiggle your toes. Roll your wrists and open and close
your fists.
Big full stretch if it feels good. Your body.
Eventually coming onto your side. Use your arms slow and steady to bring yourself upright. There's no rush to your movements. To make your transition, when you do find yourself sitting, notice your breath. Breathe deeply. Is there any more freedom of your breathing? Let's bring this together. Let's have a moment to appreciate and offer gratitude for our practice, for our health, for our well being, and send forth those prayers for others. Others may also have a sense of health, well being. Namaste.